Hi everybody, we're really sorry about the delay. We've been having some technical difficulties on our end, but we think we've got everything figured out. So my name is Bailey Miller and I work here at the IV&V program. I work under the Strategic Communications Office. And we wanted to do this hangout because we have some team members here that have worked on the project, and we have a couple of them here in the room. And so we're about a couple minutes away from launch, so we thought as we watch the launch, some of you may have that open in another window, we will invite the analysts to come on and talk a little bit about what they do on the project, talk a little bit about Orion in general, the mission, and just get a feel for how IV&V has a little hand in just about everything involved. So I'm going to turn it over right now to, I'm going to turn it over right now to Rich Wolf. He is the HEO-SD project lead. So he is here in the room with me. As I said before, we're having technical difficulties, so we're actually stuck on one computer at the moment. So
I'm gonna go right here and her.
Rich, come on over.
Where's the door?
Some.
Okay, so
Come on.
come on over.
Hi. We've just gotten news that the new launch time has been set to 7:17. So we have about 9 minutes. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. We're a little bit late, but I think we have these resolved. And we have a number of analysts here in the room, and we're going to field questions. If anyone has any questions that they want to throw at us. We have Ed Meek here. We have Randall Hance, two of our IV&V analysts. And other than that, we're waiting for questions, and we're going to watch the NASA TV and wait for the launch. So if anyone has any questions that they want to send to us, we will field them.
You should be able to click on our Google Plus page.
Ready? Watch yourself.
This is being carried live on NASA TV also. If anyone wants to, if anyone has both of them up. But okay. Checking for questions. Do we have any questions?
I don't see any questions.
I don't see any either, which is perfectly fine.
Is the link public?
It should be public.
Yeah, let's do a public check. Can anyone see me? Unfortunately.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually just talking with Rich and asking him if he could let us all know how long he's been on the project and just give us a little bit of background on that.
Sure. I've been on the project for 3 years as deputy project manager for the first year, and then project manager for the last year and a half. We have a team of 20 people distributed across the country. Some here in Fairmont, some at Johnson Space Center, some in other locations. We have a few people at Denver where the developer has their software development facility. We've been engaged. We were engaged actually prior on Orion before the Constellation project was canceled. We had about approximately an 18-month hiatus, and about 3 years ago, IV&V got re-engaged on Orion, and we've been engaged ever since. We're still working on some audio feed here. If there's any other questions, I think we still have, the last I've heard, we have we will be coming out of the T-minus 9 minute hold, and the new launch time is set for 7:17. Eastern time, so that should only be 6 minutes away. We're trying to get an update to see how that's going. 1 second. Did you want to go in? Does not get as well. Okay.
Lincoln, I can see it, but I'm not broadcasting.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay. We have one of our GN&C analysts, Ed Meek, here as well. So Ed's going to tell us real quick how long he's been on the project, what he's been doing. So Ed. Sorry.
Okay, my name's Ed Meek. I've been on the project here for, let's say, 6 months. However, I was previously at Lockheed, so I've got a while on the program. What I've been doing here mainly is verifying some of the GNC. GNC is the guidance, navigation, and control systems. Relatively, that's kind of the rocket science side of it. That's where you're telling the rocket where to go, when to get there, how long to stay, that kind of thing. So what we've been doing is verifying the GNC, that make sure that everything's okay. It's one of those problems where it's a very difficult problem to solve, and the more people you have looking at it, a lot of times it's a good thing. So we've been able to look through and verify and give some assurance that things should be working pretty good the way they're supposed to be. Okay.
Ed, if you have experience with just watching launches in the past, can you tell us, is this launch in any way different than in past launches? Is there anything specific that people out there watching might want to know about, things that might happen while it's launching, or things to watch for, just for the general public view?
Sure. One of the big things, this is a Delta IV Heavy. It's a Delta IV, it's the biggest configuration you can put on the rocket, essentially. Now, one of the interesting things about a Delta IV is when it takes off, there's a hydrogen gas cloud that surrounds it a little bit, and when the Delta takes off, you'll see like a flash, like a fire flash going up the side of the Delta. That's normal, unless it continues, but that's a normal thing. But anyways, we see pictures of Delta rockets after they've launched. A lot of times you'll see the charge marks on the side of it, and that's the reason why, because you'll see a quick flash as the hydrogen ignites. Like I said, that's a normal thing, so something to expect. Yep. Other interesting things about this is, they're going up into a higher orbit, and that's really the big deal of this launch. Previously in the shuttle days, they went up to the International Space Station. If you think about the orbit of the International Space Station, think of it as a wheel on a bicycle. The International Space Station was just at the end of the spokes and right towards the hub of the outer hub of the wheel. Now what they're doing is they're going up into the tire more. Let's put it that way. So what they're doing is they're coming up a lot higher, and they're coming in a lot faster. And that's the real reason for what they're doing here. They want to verify that before they put people on this, they want to make sure that things are safe, and when they come in, things are going to work the way they're expected to. So they're coming in a lot faster than they would normally, but that's to be expected as well.
Ed, can you tell us at all just some general information about the mission? Like, what is the end goal for this mission? I mean, I know it's just the first of a series of launches that will eventually happen, but what is NASA's end-all be-all goal for this? Sure.
Well, the end goal is really to get outside of the low Earth orbit. Like I had said before, in the previous shuttle days, what the problem is that they can go back and forth to the space station, but then you get much higher than that, and you've got different effects to worry about. You've got radiation effects, and like I was saying before, if you come in faster, you're going to have to be able to deal with that. Now, the goal of the Orion capsule itself is they want to be able to get outside of that. They want to be able to travel to, like, Mars. In order to do that, they need to make sure that things are working as expected. So what this test today is going to be doing is it's going to be verifying all those systems before they actually put people on there. They want to make sure that things are safe and it's going to come in correctly. So it's one of those things where you need to you need to try things out before you actually want to put your pilots in there.
So we have a question online. How long will the mission last?
This mission.
And after that, tell people to feel free to click the Q&A window on the left-hand side of their screen, and they can ask questions in there.
Okay. If you want to click the Q&A window on the left-hand side of the screen, you should be able to get questions there. This launch today, trying to remember the specifics, we've only got... Oops,
I can get that in.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna refer this back to the program manager here.
Okay. The launch today is going to be 2 orbits. We're going to do 1 orbit around in a low circular orbit, and then after we've done 1 orbit, we're going to kick up into a high apogee orbit of approximately 3,600 nautical miles. We will approach about 20,000 miles re-entry speed, and the total mission time will be about 4 hours and 20 minutes. So we're looking at about 11:30, 11:40 landing time off the about 600 miles off the coast of Baja California. The heat shield will get to approximately 5,000 degrees, 4,500 degrees upon entry, and this particular mission will have about 85% of the energy of the return from the moon. So this is the first real test of the heat shield, as well as a number of other subsystems such as the avionics, the computers, the software, of course, which is of primary importance to IV&V, and also a number of other subsystems as well. We're trying to get a feel for the launch and the exact time, and to see if we've already taken off and I'm talking a blank screen, or if we're actually still in a hold. So we're trying to get down into that. Are there any other questions that are online?
Not at this time.
Okay.
We're on another hold.
Another hold till
Ground.
getting an update. 1 second.
But we don't know the time. Roger said we're on a hold for a ground wind violation.
Okay. We're apparently in a hold for a ground wind violation. So when we have an update, we'll obviously let you know as soon as we hear any change to the new launch time. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask. We will have this up until at least 10, 15, 20 minutes after the launch. Trying to think of any other specifics on the mission that we want to go into. Bailey, did you have any other questions you want to field?
No, I was actually just going to tell everybody just to make sure that you're tuned in right now. This is exciting coverage, and definitely just hang on the line for launch, because it's exciting and it's worth it. And we're going to try to get everything worked out with the Hangout. So just if you have questions while you're sitting here waiting on everything to take place, just type them in the Q&A window. Rich or one of the teammates here will be happy to answer.
There is a ground wind constraint of 21 miles an hour. I know earlier today they were at 20 miles an hour, so they were pretty close. It was a little tenuous, and apparently they're over that constraint limit, and they're going to have a hold until they're safely under that launch constraint for the ground winds.
So what is ground wind?
Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It's the wind on the ground. There's constraints that it can't go over a certain speed. It's a danger to the vehicle. When you launch, if the wind is too high, there's a chance that you can recontact with the tower before clearance. So they have constraints on the winds. There's constraints on cloud coverage. There's a number of launch constraints before you can go, besides the vehicle being ready. The vehicle is ready at this point. We're waiting for the window to clear. We're waiting for all the constraints to go away, the environmental constraints to resolve themselves, and as soon as that happens, we'll start the countdown again.
Thank you. Whatever you want to do.
We're going to try and pull up the NASA TV and do a shared screen here so you can actually see the launch as well, instead of just looking at me all the time. I'm sure you want to see something better looking than that, and much more interesting. NASA TV should have it. I think it's on all channels. There's 3 NASA TV channels. It's covered.
So for the time being, I'm just going to put the video on hold. So if you're watching, don't worry, we'll be right back. We're just going to go ahead and take a quick pause to try and get the launch up.
Okay.
All right, so if I click on this.
Here, let me-
So we're not on the air right now?
No.
Well,
Okay,
the
I have some
video.
more
We're trying to
questions
pull
on
it up.
when we get there.
What are the questions?
What are some of the other constraints? And then there's a flame on the lower left of the NASA video. What's that?
It's probably a burn off.
So go back, click down here.
Yeah, that's a hydrogen burn-off.
Down here?
Okay, and then
That's
hover up here
so the
and
hydrogen.
then click that.
Oh, did you know this already?
Okay. Do we have the launch?
Hydrogen burn-off?
We don't have to launch it, it's just shoot.
Hydrogen is.
Okay.
gas.
We have a couple more questions in the room.
Yep.
It's burn-off.
What are some of the other constraints?
Well, the vehicle itself has to be ready. There are a number of environmental constraints. Wind is the one that we currently have. There's also cloud coverage. There is, I believe for Delta 4, there's also rain. And then there are, I believe that's it for this particular one.
Okay, and in the video, there's some flame in the lower left corner on the NASA video that's online right now. What is that?
That would be the hydrogen burn-off. The tanks are loaded with hydrogen, liquid oxygen, and they have venting, and they also have burn-off to get rid of the excess vented hydrogen. Did you have any others?
That's all we have online right now. Were we not able to get the screen share up?
I don't believe we have it quite at this time.
Alright, okay.
Trying to get an update now on when the new launch time is. Do we have that update? I think there's a lot of interest in this. I think there's a lot of people watching. There's pressing the bandwidth here, and we're having trouble getting the video feed to come in timely and not choppy.
We're not using that computer, so let's just
You
hold
guys
it
use
on
the
it.
conference room?
Okay.
Let's just hold this one up. So, yes.
Let's see. We can give a preview of the flight. As I said earlier, the flight itself is about 4 hours and 20 minutes. Some of the major activities you're going to see for this flight are of course, at liftoff T-0, you're going to have the core and the booster stages light. They're going to fly for approximately 4 minutes. After about 4 minutes, the booster stages will separate, and about 2 minutes after that, about 6 minutes into flight, the core stage will have main engine cutoff. A minute after that, you should have the second stage will engage, and that will give its first burn, which will take us into a circular orbit to go around the Earth one time. That will be approximately 90 minutes. When we get back over Florida, back over just to the east of Florida again, there will be a second upper stage burn, and that will kick us into the 3,600 nautical mile high apogee orbit that will put us in a position to test the heat shield upon re-entry. So the first two main events are going to be the first stage booster cutoff at 4 minutes, and then 6 minutes in, the main engine cutoff. after that, we probably won't have visual at that time. We'll simply be going off telemeter data from the vehicle itself, and we'll get updates as we get them as far as the health of the vehicle, the status of the vehicle, and then also when we do the second burn, which will be about 90 minutes into flight. That will give us that will set us up for the final 3,600 mile high apogee orbit.
Rich, I'm going to take a moment to interrupt
Okay.
you.
I'm being kicked off here.
No, you're fine. For those of you who are having technical difficulties watching the Orion TV feed, NASA just posted on their Twitter account the mobile feed. So for those of you that have Twitter accounts, you can either check on your mobile device or you can actually log on your computer and you can find a link that will take you directly to the mobile feed. The Ustream is a little bit more reliable, it seems like, than what's currently being shown right now. So check on the Ustream, or like I said, get on Twitter, follow the link that NASA, which is at NASA, has posted, and that way you might be able to have a little bit better viewing of the launch. So. And please, as we've been saying, ask some questions, anything you can think of. If you have questions about the launch side of it, the project side, please, we have people here that are very eager to answer all of your questions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rich. And again, thank you for your patience with all that we have done.
Okay, we're still waiting to get a launch update and a new launch time. I guess one of the things we can talk about is the software and the safety critical, mission critical software that we look at here at IV&V. That is our predominant goal here at IV&V, and that is the primary focus for mission and safety critical software is to answer what we call the 3 questions, and that is, does the software do what it's supposed to do? Does the software not do what it's not supposed to do? And how does the software respond under adverse conditions? So in that respect, all of our analysis is based on verifying that the software behaves the way it's supposed to behave, that it's going to produce the results that are expected of it, and it's not going to do anything unexpected. When you're dealing with some software that has to respond in very quick and timely fashions, you not only want to make sure that you're responding appropriately, but also that you're not responding inappropriately and working off of a singular data blip. So we want to make sure that that all of the data is correct, that it's looked at, and that it's behaving exactly as we expect it to behave. We also tested under adverse conditions, where we will look at a number of scenarios that can test the software, and a lot of times we will push it beyond its limits that it's supposed to go to see where it breaks, how it responds under those situations. So we do a lot of testing, not only of the nominal scenarios and of the expected flight and even the expected conditions, but we also try and come up with analysis to determine what are the things that can go wrong, what are the unexpected things that can go wrong with the software, and how does the software respond to that. If it doesn't have a built-in response to that, then we want to go see what it does, how it responds, so that we understand the software in all conditions, even the unexpected ones.
So the question online asking, why is the rocket steaming?
Well, that's because what you're seeing, the steam coming off the rocket, it is being loaded with liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. When that gets over, I believe it's negative 298 degrees Fahrenheit for the oxygen, minus 437 degrees for the hydrogen, those gases will start to boil off and turn from a liquid into a gas. When that happens, it wants to expand, of course, and what they're doing is they're continually venting the gaseous hydrogen and the gaseous oxygen, and it gets vented out into the atmosphere, and that's what you're seeing there is the gaseous hydrogen, the gaseous oxygen boiling off and being vented off into the atmosphere. We don't want to have a pressure buildup in the tank.
Thank you. So while we're here and we have a few minutes while we're waiting, I was going to ask Ed if he would like to describe the mission patch for us. Both of you could actually do it. We've got one of those here in the room.
Yep. Ed, you want to grab the
hang it
mission
up,
patch?
show it up there on the computer.
Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. Now, every mission that we have has a different patch, and the patch is designed by most of the time it's designed by the people that work on the mission. It's got specific things that it represents. So for this Orion EFT-1 patch, if you notice the orbits here, there's 2 orbits that go out at a very medium Earth orbit attitude, and they come back in real fast. That's what that's representing. This is the capsule itself coming in, but like I said, a lot of times these are designed by the people that actually design the rockets or design the systems. And so, and there's a story behind each one of them, so it's really kind of a neat thing. And that's why a lot of times these things are considered collector's items. You can see them on Spaceflight now, and you can order them online for years later. It's kind of a memorabilia type thing.
So a lot of patches have stars on them, and that one I see doesn't have any stars. Do you know why?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Does anybody else know why? You should be able to answer that.
Talk about the fact there's no humans on board.
That's why there's no stars on that.
Ah,
you want to go up there and tell
okay.
us?
I can tell.
Okay. Well,
They
there.
represent the astronaut.
Yep. Okay. Well, anyway, there's no stars on this. If you see this, and that represents because there's no astronauts on board. So stars would represent the astronauts on board.
An extended hold
Alright.
this time,
Thanks, Ed.
waiting for winds to subside. The Orion spacecraft is on external power, saving its batteries for when it's ready to go fly. Delta IV Heavy rocket is fully fueled and ready to go. We've had a number of minor issues that have held up
So
the
we actually have a question online while we're listening to this.
Sure.
Are there any stars in the middle of the capsule on that? I guess when they look at it online, they're not quite seeing.
Oh, okay. Here, let me try to pull it up real quick.
So those are windows, right?
Yeah, those are windows right there. But nope, there's no stars on the capsules. And for those of you, I don't know if you can hear online, but they're on an extended hold right now. They're waiting for the winds to subside. Everything so far sounds like it's going pretty good. We do have a launch window of the last couple hours, and so that's not an issue at the moment.
No questions right now.
With people on there.
I have 2 people asking questions, but it doesn't show me how many other people are watching.
Still in humans. I think there's a decoder problem. We should have systems that should be able to come up. But right now, it's in indefinite hold due to winds. I think it will come out at T-minus 4 minutes or T-minus 9 minutes. We're still waiting on. So we're still in hold for now.
Okay, and we're still on hold due to winds predominantly. They'll continue this hold until the winds hopefully die down. So.
I can, if you want me to.
Sure.
You got me locked out.
Okay, I'm gonna let Bailey step in here.
Okay, so we're actually going to have someone else here on camera. The voice you have been hearing is the voice of Jennifer Neptune, and she's about to pop up here in 1 second.
I think I'm live, but I'm muted.
Okay. So, there she is.
Oh, hello, everybody.
So this is Jennifer Neptune. She is actually the public affairs officer here at IV&V, so she handles all of the media outreach and the general day-to-day communications. And she has been a huge part of getting this Google Plus Hangout to even happen. So for those of you, give her a round of applause at your desk or wherever you're sitting right now. Again, we want to encourage anyone who has questions, please, you can either go under our Twitter account and ask a question using the hashtag Orion, and be sure to mention us at IVV. Or get on our Google Plus page and ask a question there. We'll also be checking our Facebook page, which is NASA's IV&V program. You can ask questions on there, again, just using the same hashtag, and give us a shout out. So right now, I think we're still just kind of waiting for launch. As far as I know, we don't have any updates.
Yeah, I don't think we have any updates either, and I would like to thank everybody for joining us and for the questions that we've been receiving. Again, if you're watching and are confused about how to ask a question, there should be a little icon on your window. It might look like 9 little boxes, and you need to click that set of 9 little boxes, and then there should be a Q&A option for you. So if you go over to the Q&A, it should pop open a window on your right, and you should be able to type in questions there for us. So again, we are happy to take questions. Anybody who is interested in asking us some questions. We do still have some other members of the HEO team here that works for IV&V. I'm looking at the questions. I think I have another one. Let me see here. They don't come in order. What time does the launch window close, and why does it close? Anybody willing to? You can join either computer. We're both live right now. 9:44 is when the launch window closes, and it closes probably because there are certain conditions that are right for the rocket to perform the maneuvers that it needs, the rocket to launch, and for the capsule to perform the maneuvers it needs to perform when it's doing its test orbits. I'm sure there are other environmental concerns to that window. Ed probably can answer.
Yeah.
They're trying to intercept a planet long ways away. So their mission window, or their launch windows, are going to be around a second or so, because this one is not really rendezvousing with anything in particular. It has a very long launch window, but one of the things that they want to keep it take into consideration is they want to make sure that they launch when there's not another object that's going to be in the vicinity at all. So what they do is they clear out a launch window a specific amount of time where they look and say, okay, there's not going to be anything within this window. There might not still be anything later on, but then you never know. So that's one of the considerations. I'm not really sure exactly why they specified this launch window.
So I have another question online. What is HEO?
HEO. Okay, what is HEO is the question that's online.
Human exploration and operation.
Yeah, it's Human Exploration and Operations. That's what HEO stands for.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, that's why.
So as you can already tell, we're bouncing between 2 computers right now. We're trying to get all the kinks worked out with that. But actually, I'm going to, for a moment, see if I can get the launch pulled up on here, and maybe we can have a view of it on my computer.
We have the audio in the room, so they're not doing it.
No, they're just not talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we have some of that imagery.
Okay, so it looks like I'm having some difficulty getting the launch up on my computer, but so right now it looks like again we're still just kind of at a standstill, waiting for everything to take place. We currently don't have any questions on air or online right now, but again, please. We really want to hear even feedback, even if you have something, a story about how you know someone who's worked on the project, or anything would be great. I know we have some students from West Virginia University watching, so I'd like to do a shout out to them. If any of you who are watching, please ask us questions or get in touch with Justin Smith. I'm sure you all know his contact information, and he would be happy to relay any of the questions to us. Otherwise, you can click on the Q&A box or ask us a question on any of our general pages. You guys taking the time to watch this. Again, we have a great room of analysts that know a lot about the project and have dedicated a lot of time to it, and they love sharing the information, and they certainly want to make everyone aware of the mission.
So I have a question online. Has there ever been an issue with a bird flying in the path of a rocket or anything that we were launching, like a shuttle or anything?
Yes.
Well, get on the.
Does anybody want to?
Come on and answer. May I repeat the question there?
Yeah.
Did we find out what shuttle it was?
So
how many people worked? Question from WV. How many people at IV&V worked on EFT-1?
So the question from a WVU student is how many people have worked on the project?
19 currently.
So I'm getting the number 19 currently, and that's pretty good sized team. Is there anybody in here who wants to say something about it other than Rich?
You can elaborate if you wish.
Rich is coming to elaborate. So here he
We'll have an
is.
answer to the bird question.
And we will have the answer to the bird question in just a moment.
What's the bird question? I missed the bird question.
We'll repeat it before we.
Okay. We currently have 19 folks working on EFT-1. They work all areas of mission and safety critical flight software for MPCV. That would be GNC, which is described earlier as guidance, navigation, and control. We have command and data handling. We have a team that works for time management, vehicle management, that handles all of the events that happen during the flight. We have a number of there's a number of different computers on board. We have teams that look at the video processing unit. We have a number of other the ECLIS, which is the environmental control and life support. That's actually fairly bare bones for this particular flight because there's no astronauts, but there are still a number of subsystems that are there to keep the vehicles heat internally and for the computers to keep that stable. There's also electrical power systems which are controlled by computers, and also everything is being monitored by computers as well, so that if there's any faults that occur, those will be detected and they can be responded to automatically. So even the electrical power system is another area that IV&V has looked at. Pretty much any software on the vehicle that is either safety critical, which is not much of a concern with this particular flight because there's no flight crew, but also mission critical software. The other thing is a large portion of this software is going to fly for EM1 and EM2 when we do have flight crew. So in that respect, all of the software still has to be built considering the crew that will come on when we eventually fly with the crew. So in that respect, we still have to consider all of the safety critical software that is being built currently that won't fly and have a crew until 5 or 6 years when we do EM2, but nonetheless still has to meet all of the criteria.
7:55.
Okay, I'm getting told that the new launch time is set at 7:55, so we will be coming out of a T-minus 9-minute hold very shortly, and when that happens, we'll start the automatic countdown, and again, the new launch time is 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. if there are any other questions. Oh, go back to the bird question, because that sounded pretty interesting.
Yeah, okay.
I'm getting an update on the bird question. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can talk.
Go ahead.
Repeat the question first.
So the question was, what was the exact question, Jennifer, about birds
Has there
interfering
ever
with the
been a
launch?
problem with a bird flying in front of a rocket or a shuttle?
Okay, and my name is Justin Smith. I work here with Jennifer and Bailey at IV&V, and a lot of you guys at WVU know me. So I knew that we had hit a bird before, so I had to do some quick research. But in 2005, Space Shuttle Discovery struck a big vulture as it took off. The vulture actually hit the big orange tank that attaches the external fuel tank. And so when you guys see a launch, you might even see it today. There's always birds and stuff flying around. You see all those shuttle pictures of when the space shuttle finally lights up. Birds and animals are going in every direction just because they're scared. This particular vulture flew the wrong direction and got blasted. So if you actually look up vulture hitting space shuttle, you'll see a picture of it. They have several images of the vulture ultimately falling to its demise. Yeah, it's great to see that everything's going well, and looks like it's going to be a beautiful morning for a launch here. So hopefully you guys can enjoy this. Keep the questions coming.
Okay, actually one other bird issue or story from the shuttle. They actually had an issue with a number of flights where there were some birds that actually tried to nest in the foam insulation around the external tank. So they had to come up with some speakers to try and, I'm not kidding about that. They actually had speakers where they tried to, I'm trying to think of exactly what owl it was, but there was a type of owl that feasted on the sparrows that were lodging into and nesting into the foam on the ET. So they had the speakers up to imitate these owls to keep these particular birds away. There was another incident that I recall where they pulled the nose cap on the top of the external tank of the shuttle away, and they had a lizard that had crawling up on the top of the tank and was poking his head over the side. We don't know what happened to that lizard, but it's probably he probably either had the farthest fall of any lizard, or he probably wound up having a very quick demise if he ran through the solid rocket booster tail. But he was on top of the tank at about T-9 seconds, so I doubt he made a quick jump beforehand, although he probably had a heck of a ride before he met his demise, shall we say.
There's also space bats, the one that clinged on to the ET.
Okay, apparently there was a space bat, so somehow we've turned into Mutual Omaha Wild Kingdom here, and animals that have been struck by the shuttle or had bad encounters with the shuttle. So are there any non-wildlife related questions? We can field those. We do have about 7 minutes before launch, so are there any other questions? We will field wildlife questions. That's perfectly fine. But we also do some rocket science too, so we'll field those.
5 minutes, 30 seconds.
What does it take to work at NASA IV&V?
Well, it takes quite frankly, a keen mind. You have to have a very attention to detail. You have to have a degree in a number of areas: engineering, computer science, physics, mathematics, and you have to have a good knowledge of software, and also the systems that the software is controlling, the systems that the software is reporting on. Those are the primary ones. I'm being told that we are T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Actually, we're past that point now, so we're within 5 minutes of launch. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask. Probably at about T-minus 1 minute, we're going to stop talking and we're going to let the rocket have its show and take off. We can stick our heads in. We'll give you some commentary as it happens, but I have a feeling most people are going to be tuned into the TV and not us at that point. So we'll break away for about T-minus 1 minute, and we'll watch the vehicle. I think we're at T-minus 4 minutes now, so we're getting pretty close. Once you start getting within 1 minute, the countdown is all automated. Everything is done via software, and they can always intervene if there is an issue. You can always halt the launch all the way up until the engines are lit, but once you get into T-minus 30 seconds, the software starts running the show, and everything becomes automated.
They did restart the countdown clock now.
They did restart the countdown clock?
Yeah, it
Okay.
came out at T-minus.
Okay, so we are now at T-minus 3 minutes and 40 seconds approximately. We have about 2.5 minutes till we cut away. If there's any other questions, feel free to send them to us.
We could point the camera towards all of us watching the on screen.
We're setting up a dual screen here if we can, so that you can watch the vehicle on one half of the screen and then us on the other half of the screen. I'm sure probably want to watch the vehicle, but
Oh,
okay. I'm told that there is a hold fire right now. They stopped the countdown at T-minus 3 minutes and 5 seconds. We're waiting on a indication of what caused that hold.
Establish the name. LC can establish T-minus 30 and T-minus 60 second limits are off. GE verified arm igniters are reset. Verify. CAM1 light pocket reset. Start with reset.
We're still trying to determine why they had the launch hold.
It appears that another automatic script detected wind violation from the wind count.
Okay.
Stand by for confirmation.
Apparently, we believe that it is another wind violation, so we've triggered the 20 knot limit for the wind, or 21 knot limit for the wind, and they have halted the countdown. We're waiting for confirmation on that, but that is what we hear.
So
is preliminary.
while we wait for that, we have a question. What is the radius for the safety zone when it comes to lightning in the area?
I don't know that one actually. I cannot tell you that.
I do
Ed
know.
might know that.
Okay. Let's see. I do know. If you look on the screen with the shuttle there, those two towers there are supposed to attract away the lightning rods next to it. So,
Right.
and it's there's shuttle launch pads had a number of towers, and 4 towers, and then they had a lightning safe zone within there, so they were attracting away the lightning.
So next question, what makes the vehicle or the engine fly?
What makes the vehicle fly? It's the rocket engine. There is the liquid hydrogen and the liquid oxygen will ignite in the bell of the engine. That produces an explosion. The gas, when it gets heated to approximately 3,000 degrees, will want to expand. When that expansion of the gas hits the bell of the engine, it's going to push the engine forward as the gas gets exhausted out the back of the vehicle. And it's basically a controlled explosion, and it is a controlled explosion that goes on for this particular vehicle for over 6 minutes. So obviously there's a number of issues with keeping not only the fuel flow going, but also the engine from getting overheated. There's a number of sensors on there, all controlled by computer, that are monitoring not only the flow, but the temperatures, the pressures of the engine, to make sure that that everything stays within a very tightly defined constraint. Because again, you're trying to basically control an explosion for a 6-minute period the whole way up. So you have to have very good insight into all of the physical characteristics of the engine and the engine components to make sure that nothing goes wrong, and to respond very quickly. If something does go wrong, it goes wrong very quickly with these type of engines. So you have to have very quick detection and very quick response to make sure that that you can shut an engine down before something turns catastrophic.
So when the countdown restarts, will they restart at 3 minutes 5 seconds, or will they start over at 5 minutes?
I don't know that exactly. Usually they will pick off at T-minus 3.05 wherever they stop the countdown. However, it depends if they had to reset any components or any systems, in which case they may have to go back to either a T-minus 4 minute hold or T-minus 9 minute hold, depending on what systems had to be reset. if that was the case. I believe this is just a wind hold, and if that is the case, then it should pick up at T-minus 3:05, 3 minutes and 5 seconds, but again, it depends on if there was any other subsystems that had to be reset to go back to the original hold times.
Or limits are off.
Thank you.
MEQLCM. Go. Establishing our lock and install. Good work.
Okay, they're still working on the issue. We're waiting to find an update to see if there is a when the countdown is going to resume. If there's any other questions, please send them in to Jennifer, send them in to us. We'll answer them as best we can.
U.S. Air Force 45th Weather Squadron Launch Weather Officer Kathy Winters has been monitoring the weather throughout the night and this morning. And there's an inversion overhead that is predicted to break within the next 45 minutes to an hour, which is expected to reduce the winds. So once again,
we're getting an update now from the Cape on the weather situation.
We have 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 39 seconds remaining in our launch window today. We can launch as late as 9:44 a.m.
Okay, there's still a hold due to weather. The launch window still has almost 2 hours left, about an hour and 45 minutes to go. So if the winds die down, then they will resume the countdown. They believe that there's a cloud inversion or a weather inversion over the Cape, and they expect that to go away within the hour, and that should have the winds die down. I'm being given a thumbs up on something.
We're ready to pick it up at 3:05.
Okay. We believe we're ready to resume the countdown now at T-minus 3 minutes and 5 seconds. We have a dual screen, so you can see the clock will appear in the lower right-hand corner when that countdown resumes, and hopefully that will begin soon, and we will get close to we will be ready for launch here.
So I have another question online. What kinds of threats are there once the capsule is out in space?
With this particular one, because we're going up to 3,600 nautical miles, one of the things that we're doing is we're going to have to pass through the Van Allen belt, which is a high radiation belt. That is because we're going out further than the shuttle or the station have, and this is in fact the furthest a human-rated vehicle has gone out since the return from the Apollo. In 1972 from the Apollo missions. The radiation is a key one. That is the higher radiation as you go through the Van Allen belt is going to tax the computers and the avionics system, and that's one of the main goals of this particular mission, is to test the software, to test the flight computers, to test the avionics, but to test them in the high radiation environments that are going to occur as you go through the Van Allen belt, both on the way up and on the way down, and then also in the higher radiation environments of space.
Did you hear what that update was?
We're getting an update to see if we're about to resume.
So I have a question, Rich.
Go for it.
So I was reading about the Space Launch System that NASA is currently developing and how it will provide Orion the capability to carry astronauts to destinations beyond the low Earth orbit. Okay. And my question was, if we land on an asteroid, what kind of work or data would we actually get from doing that?
That's a good question, actually. Actually, a lot of the information will be very similar to the Rosetta mission that happened a couple weeks ago, except for this time we will have astronauts there to actually make decisions on the fly as far as what science is being done. A lot of the times you want to have someone there that can make decisions. If you have a trained geologist, they will be able to go and make the decisions as far as what areas you want to get data on, what areas are particularly interesting, and if you want to change the mission or change the data you're collecting, someone that is there that is trained is able to make that decision right there on the spot. So they can also incorporate any of that data that they learned while they're there, as opposed to if you're doing a robotic mission a lot of times you have to plan it ahead of time. gather the data and then make the decisions on how you want to change, whereas a person can do that a lot quicker than a robot can. But a lot of what we're looking at is the chemicals. If there is an asteroid, one of it will be, one of the main points of information will be the chemicals, what chemicals are there, what are the chemical signatures, because a lot of that is going to be stuff that reveals what the solar system is like at the formation of the solar system, or in this case, if it's an asteroid, the formation of the asteroid, which gives you a look back into the environment of the solar system 4.5 billion years ago, and gives you a lot better look into what things were like before all the planets formed and before this all coalesced into one big planet, whether it's Earth or Mars or whatever. Do you have any other?
I'm going to take a quick pause and check on everything. Do we have any information? Okay.
Okay, we're still in a T-minus 3 minute and 5 second hold. We're going to take a quick pause here to try and get an update.
I'm not sure because it's tilted.
Yeah.
And so it's.
Okay, so we're actually searching for a video right now, and I'm gonna kick it over to that. So let me get that pulled up.
I'm sharing it.
Okay.
Should be.
Appears to be.
Do you have audio on it?
Hasn't started yet. I just need a new call.
Still.
We're trying to share a video.
I'm just so delayed, Jennifer. Bailey's just now talking and saying.
Okay, Greg says there we go, so maybe there we go. We don't have any new questions now.
Still.
He can't hear it.
Yeah, videos, got audio.
Can,
It has audio?
Sounds like.
Okay, Greg says there we go, so maybe there we go.
No, that's not the right audio.
As it punches into Earth orbit, Orion will jettison its launch abort system. The abort system is a safety feature designed to pull Orion and its crew out of danger if there were a problem with the rocket during ascent. Orion's journey is just beginning.
All locations. We are available for the core is very nice.
Orion is getting ready to launch. My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. Orion is NASA's next-generation spacecraft. Built with versatility in mind, it can take astronauts deeper into space than we've ever gone before, to an asteroid, or even onto Mars. For these missions, Orion has to be one tough spacecraft, withstanding high speeds, searing temperatures, and extreme radiation. Before we can send astronauts into space on Orion, we have to test all of its systems. And there's only one way to know if we got that right. Fly it in space. For Orion's first flight, no astronauts will be aboard. The spacecraft is loaded with sensors to record and measure all aspects of the flight in every detail. It all begins with launch, aboard a Delta IV Heavy rocket. As it punches into Earth orbit, Orion will jettison its launch abort system. The abort system is a safety feature designed to pull Orion and its crew out of danger if there were a problem with the rocket during ascent. Orion's journey is just beginning. As the spacecraft and the upper stage begin their first lap around Earth, Mission Control in Houston is monitoring the progress of the flight. Orion's over 100 miles up and going about 17,000 miles per hour. Just as it passes over the Indian Ocean, we lose communication. This is expected. The communications link we have through satellites to Orion is momentarily lost, but Orion continues to receive and process data. Its computers can handle 480 million instructions per second. Imagine you are traveling with Orion as the flight test continues. One orbit completed. Time to go. The upper stage of the rocket fires again. Like the setup for a roller coaster ride, this is the big climb we've been waiting for. We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth. 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this flight, it's time to head home. The upper stage of the rocket triggers separation. Orion's jets fire to turn it into the proper position to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. No matter what happens now, we're coming in. 75 miles above Earth, the spacecraft enters the atmosphere. Things happen quickly. We're now traveling more than 20,000 miles per hour. Air particles pushed out of the way heat up. An envelope of hot plasma surrounds the vehicle as it plummets towards Earth. The plasma reaches temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, almost twice as hot as molten lava. This may be the most dangerous part of the flight. Mission Control is monitoring all the data from the spacecraft, and then we lose communication again. No data can penetrate the plasma. Orion is on its own. Orion is inside a fireball. Onboard systems ignite jets to keep the ship pointed correctly, so the specially constructed heat shield takes the full brunt of the inferno. This is the largest heat shield of its kind ever made. Orion's computers command the spacecraft to bank like an airplane, keeping a precise path to the landing site. Even though we've slowed from 20,000 miles per hour to about 300 miles per hour, we're still traveling amazingly fast. We must slow down to safely land in the ocean. Luckily, we have parachutes. Specially designed for Orion, the parachutes help us hit the brakes, but not too quickly. One day people will be aboard, so deceleration must happen in stages to keep things comfortable for the crew. The forward bay cover jettisons. Two drogue chutes deploy and slow the returning spacecraft down to 175 miles per hour. Then, the three main parachutes open. Once fully engaged, this canopy would cover an American football field. It takes parachutes this size and strength to slow our descent to 20 miles per hour, and then splashdown. For this first flight, we won't have astronauts inside, but we still have some very precious cargo. The flight data from this mission is stored inside the Orion spacecraft. While our flight might be over, there is still a lot of work to do. Onboard sensors recorded every detail, from launch to flying in space, to re-entry to landing. Flight tests are difficult and complex, but they give us confidence that the systems we have designed work under real flight conditions. It's great to be a part of this first space flight for Orion, and we're looking forward to beginning a new chapter in human space exploration.
Okay, Bailey, you should be back.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that video. So it looks like we're at the 8:26 mark for the launch.
8:26 is the new estimate.
Okay, great.
Does anybody want to talk about that a little bit? Why it was paused and...
So while we wait for a moment, I wanted to share a little bit of information that was probably mentioned earlier, but to reiterate. So this orbital test flight will play a very important role in the finalization of Orion's design. And it's to help increase efficiencies and reduce risk. So some little factoids for you. Programmatic risk reduction. Critical flight data collected from this mission will validate Orion's ability to withstand reentry speeds greater than 20,000 miles per hour and safely return the astronauts to Earth. There also is a technical risk reduction, valuable data about key system functions and capabilities, such as kick stage processing on the launch pad, vehicle fueling and stacking, and crew module recovery will ensure these systems are designed and built correctly. There also will be, it'll also demonstrate efficiencies. This will give NASA the chance to continue to refine its production and coordination processes, aligning with the agency's commitment to build the world's most cutting-edge spacecraft in the most cost-efficient manner. Enhances and sustains industry partnerships. Orion's design team will gain very important experience and training to ensure the industry is prepared for a launch of Orion in 2017 aboard the SLS. And finally, skill sustainment. Focusing on mission flight test objectives helps reduce or eliminate risks to crew and refines Orion's core systems development. So NASA is really making significant progress in developing the deep space exploration, and check on the launch information. So EFT-1 will provide the NASA teams invaluable experience to prepare Orion for future missions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rich Wolf to talk a little bit about what's happening online for those of you that are listening to the coverage. Some of you may have questions. So here is Rich.
Okay, I'll give you one I know, although I'm not much of an expert on the Delta IV launch operations. The launch constraint has been a wind. There was is a wind constraint. That is still there, but they're going to resume the countdown. That is expected to go away by launch. There was also a issue with the vehicle with the core engine bearing temperature. That has been resolved. They believe that was a faulty sensor. They found data from secondary sources that showed that the original primary source was incorrect. So they resolved that issue. So right now there are no constraints on the vehicle. The only environmental constraint currently is the wind. All the systems are reporting go right now. So if the wind does not pick up, it looks like, and assuming we don't have any vehicle issues, it looks like we will be launching at 8:26 Eastern Standard Time, which is about 7 minutes from now, 6 minutes from now. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Certainly send their questions. I'm not interesting enough to keep this thing going till then. So, well, off the dance floor, I'm not interesting enough. So, by all means, send us questions. If you have any, let us know, and we'll try and answer them. We have hopefully only about 5 minutes before we're going to turn it over and just watch the video along with yourselves, since I'm sure that will be a lot more interesting than anything I'm going to say.
I have 2 questions online, actually.
Okay.
The first one is about the simulations used when devising the mission. It says the simulations used are supposed to help predict what will happen, but has there been a time when reality was different from the simulation? And how flexible is the mission in case of an unexpected event?
Okay. Well, the first one, as far as the simulation. There's an old adage that all simulations are wrong, but some are useful. So in that respect, by definition, all simulations are never a perfect representation of the real world. The question is, are they accurate enough to be useful and to get useful information? There's always a time that the simulations are incorrect enough, and that's one of the reasons why you test in the actual space environment, is you want to find out what the systems are going to respond to, how they're going to respond to the actual environment. Simulations and theories can get you close. They can get you very close. Sometimes they're dead on, but most of the time it gets you close enough, and you want to get your real data from the real world. NASA has a philosophy that test like you fly and fly like you test. So in that respect, we want to make sure that all of our tests are as lifelike and realistic as possible, and we want to fly according to the way that we tested. What was the second question? Did you want to?
Yeah, the next question is, how are humans protected from radiation in the Orion capsule?
There's radiation shielding around the Orion capsule. is that radiation shielding is more robust than, for example, the shuttle, where which was not flying into deep space, so there was a less hazardous radiation environment. It's materials that that will absorb or reflect the radiation built into the vehicle, and like everything else. And it has weight. There's always weight trade-offs with these, so you want to have as much as possible to keep everyone safe. But obviously, you don't want to. You have to be careful. You have to really run the edge here, because if you put too much on, you're too heavy to fly. So you don't even need to worry about radiation protection if you don't fly. So with all of these, it's a cost-benefit trade-off. And in a lot of these, the factor safety and the margin of safety is a lot tighter in these vehicles. Weight is a paramount concern.
Okay, that's all I have for questions online right now.
Okay, that's it for questions right now. We have 3.5 minutes left approximately. So we're going to step away in a minute and a half here, 2 minutes.
Don't want to refresh your video. You're pretty significantly behind. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Minus 4 minutes.
50 seconds behind. Stage lines. Okay, started.
Do you have the one there to pull one here?
I have. That's what it. This is what I've got left.
3 minutes, 50 seconds.
Okay, we resumed the countdown. The countdown resumed at T minus 4 minutes. We are now at T minus 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Okay, so I think the feed that we're giving is a little bit behind, so I think it's about 15 seconds faster than that. So we're at about T minus 3 minutes currently. If there's any question, let us know. At this point, the countdown is, again, there were no vehicle constraints at this time. So basically, we're running entirely on if there's any environmental constraints. If the winds are gone, if the wind issue is gone, then we should be good for a launch in less than 3 minutes.
Fuel and drain valve not closed. We have 3 at 9.
Okay. I'm told we have a hold at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. We're waiting to get an exact information as to what the latest hold is.
Yeah, and so for those of you watching, Google Plus has a little bit of a lag. So Google Plus has a little bit of a lag. So you may just want to have the launch event in your browser separately from what we have going on here, because you might be about a minute behind. That being said, you can have dual screens, obviously, if you want to watch what we're saying about it. But for the most part, we are running just about a minute behind in the lag time. So just stay tuned to NASA's coverage of the launch.
SA-128. So, OSM at 8 pound dollar motor SAR from its base. Say, ATC 3 cable transfer. Cable transfer.
Just the fuel thing?
We have 1 hour and 15 minutes, 55 seconds remaining in today's launch window for Orion.
While we're waiting, I wanted to go ahead and take a chance to show everybody, for those of you who are maybe more Google Plus folks or Facebook folks, I wanted to take a moment to share our Twitter page. So if you guys want to follow what's happening in IV&V, certainly can do so. This is our page, and you can follow us at NASA IV&V, and we like to interact. So any questions or comments or shares you would like to share with us, we will be monitoring those.
Unrecycled for CDC, the stopper valve was the one that caused the alarm. It did not show full.
Again, our Twitter account, Twitter feed is at NASA IV&V.
I'm correct. It was actually 2 is working for it.
Roger, and your recommendation, Steve, with
We can proceed with 60 lots recycle and 60 lots recycle. And then I'm going to get with Denver, see if we want to do some battle cycles prior to proceeding with recycle reducing.
Roger, we'll proceed.
So while we wait, we have a question. Maybe Ed will be able to take this one. Are most launches like this the waiting game? Is that why there are launch windows?
Great question. Great question. Actually, yes, most launches are like this. I actually don't remember a launch myself that actually occurred on time. But, you know, there's always a first time, for me at least. I know there has been at some point in the past, I'm just not sure when. But yes, most launches are like this. There's just a lot of things going on. A lot of people have to interact and make sure that things are working correctly.
The last launch we did, they actually launched on time. What was that? Was that in this?
So as we map out our configuration and
So, do you know what's going on with this? Why
discuss what the issue was, another
we're holding? Can you tell everybody why we're on hold?
Okay, right now we're on hold for
one on the left.
issue. It sounds like one of the valves wasn't opening or closing correctly. And they want to make sure that things are working correctly, obviously. So, trying to verify that, not sure if it's a sensor problem or what.
Okay, thank you.
If the launch gets started today, when is the next attempt to launch?
You should tell everybody that, Bailey.
So a question we had in the room, if the launch does get scrubbed, when will they try again? The answer to that is tomorrow. So we hope it doesn't, but as always, tomorrow it does.
Same time tomorrow.
4 minutes later.
I don't remember. It's one in those directions. Thank you.
So it would be 4 minutes difference tomorrow if that were the case. So I spoke a little bit about our Twitter, but I also want to take a moment to share our Facebook page as well. So if you are only on the Twitterverse or the Google Plus verse or whatever it's called, you can actually consider liking the Facebook page as well. We post a lot of new pictures and videos on here. We have a lot of participation. Get great videos from our Educator Resource Center, which is commonly referred to as ERC. The great group of people who work with us at IV&V, and they help educators with workshops. They help share information for teachers and educators to relay to their kids and get them more engaged with STEM activities. Something we're very, very proud of here at IV&V is our work within the STEM fields, and we highly encourage anyone who has questions about that kind of the work we do to reach out to us. We have a great staff that is always around to answer any questions, whether they be about workshops or, even Saturday's upcoming First LEGO League Robotics Competition, which will be held in Fairmont, West Virginia, the Fairmont State University Falcon Center. So you can actually, like I said, get on our Facebook page and find more information about that.
Still on hold for some sensors on the vehicle. Don't know when they're coming out. Apparently they've seen this before and they're working it. Don't know when it's going to come out, but we have about an hour and 15 minutes left in the launch window.
So I'm being told that we have about an hour and 15 minutes left in the launch window. The problem appears to be some sensor issues. So they're working on those, trying to get everything back on track so we can get this bad boy up in the air.
On the L-15 count on the third launch attempt. At that time, we went into cycling of our film drain valves. That is the recommendation that the Conley team
Here's an image of Orion.
for all 3 CVCs, for both film drain valves, 5 cycles each, and then prepare ourselves to go into other Washington. Around no cycles required. Copy and compare LD. LD comparison.
So they have to have 5 in a row with no problem.
Are you ready to
What they
proceed?
said.
Yeah, 5,000 cycles per day. Recommendation.
Ready to proceed.
Proceed.
So the recommendation, based on previous experience by the Lockheed Martin team, is to cycle all of the fill and drain valves on the 3 common booster core, the first stage boosters on the Delta IV Heavy. So 1 each for the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen system. And they want to cycle each of these valves 5 times. And it's not necessary to cycle the valves on the second stage. It's a different engine, and it's and the valves are controlled in a different manner. And that process is underway right now. Once it's complete, they'll assess the situation and give a recommendation of where to pick up the camera. We have plenty of time left to pick up countdown, over an hour and 8 minutes. Our launch window closes at 9:44 a.m. Eastern Time.
So while we wait, do we have any more questions online? No questions.
What's up? I'm surprised we're still at your Hangout with you. Well, yeah, they may actually cancel. That's why I was checking my email to see if they want to hold on. But certainly, just to say her. No, we just, I think this one is the only thing that's planned on doing was once we started getting going was to go through the various timeline as far as what's going on up until, past this and stuff like that. Just to kind of give an update. Because you're going to be able to see, but once that, we'll probably be able to see 4 separate from the boosters, but after that, you're not going to be able to see main engine cut off. You're not going to be able to see last set like that. So there's not going to be any visuals. You'll just see the clock. You might get some preliminary data or simulations or something.
They might show a simulation. A lot of times they show an SDK simulation on the separate side, but that's usually the formal thing.
They should have video too, first stage separation. What's that? They should have video of the first stage. Yeah, you probably, but it'd be more like you probably see a couple 3 lights, one of them, and 2 of them go off on the side. You might be able to see a little bit of tail off. But I doubt you're going to be able to see visually much at that point. Yeah. I don't. 3 minutes, you're going to be wow. You're pretty far away, moving pretty fast. Yeah.
No, it's like freezing up. It won't do it.
See, this is about 20 seconds behind the TV or more. So I'm going to go see if there's anything, because I think if they say the launch hold is gone, I can come in and tell you guys all at the same time.
Just walk a little faster.
Yep. We used to sit in the back room and keep refreshing spaceflight now.
So you're the type of person who would cause it to crash like it did today.
Yeah. Well, we had to. We were in the launch crew, so I was doing the orbital analysis. And every time this launch slips, you have to recalculate all these numbers. And so it's like, great. And so, you'd be sitting in the back and nobody tells you the launch slipped for another 30 minutes or something. So that was frustrating. Yeah. Well, The problem is I was usually in a skiff, so I mean you can't bring anything like that. Yeah.
I can't.
So if you've been listening to us online, we've been chatting here in the room about some of the ins and outs of what happens during these launches and how long it takes to get things resolved. And we really don't have a whole lot to talk to you about right now because we're not getting any questions, and right now it's just a waiting game. So again, if you do have any questions, feel free to send them in the Q&A window. If you're watching us on the Google Plus Hangout, there's a little icon near the top of your screen. It looks like 9 squares in a square. If you click that, you'll see a Q&A bubble. You can click the Q&A bubble, and then you can go ahead and just type a question in the Q&A window, and we should be able to see it. And we will answer them as they come in.
If you want me to, I can talk about how when they slip the launches like this, you have to recalculate all the numbers.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Sure.
So Ed's going to join me over here at my computer, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what happens when we have slips like this.
Okay. Again, my name's Ed Meek. I've been doing a lot of different things. I'm guidance, navigation, control systems engineering, which means I'm kind of one of the ones that does the rocket science portion of things. One of the things that I've done in a past life, I guess, in different jobs is I was an orbital analyst. And one of the things that you do, every time you have a launch slip like this, you have to recalculate you have to recalculate the trajectory because the Earth keeps turning even though the rocket clock is stopped. And so one of the things that's going on in the background is that you have a bunch of people running around and recalculating this based on the new launch time. And so that's one of the things that keeps moving even though the clock is stopped.
Thanks, Ed. So this, while we're waiting, I'll just show you a little bit about what we are doing here in our room. As you can see behind me, we're in a basic conference room here at IV&V's IV&V Building 2. If you are familiar with our area down here at Fairmont, we are in a building that has basically 2 towers connected by a bridge for the top. You can drive through the center of the building to the parking lot in the back. And our offices, when you're driving through the building, are in the right-hand side tower. So we're in one of the conference rooms there, and I'll just pick up my laptop and do a little spin. Behind me on the wall, you can see our strategic plan, and then over here we've got video up on 2 monitors of the launch. So we're hopefully going to see that live when it shows up. And then back here we've got some of our colleagues, Justin Smith, and people have been coming in and out. So there's Ed. So we're just in a little room here, little conference room. Second one of the day because we had technical difficulties with the first one and this one, which happens, you know. So if you have any questions, oh, I see a question here, actually. Why are they testing Orion? What will they do with the data they get from this, and what are the next steps? Ed, do you have information on that? Would you be willing to answer?
And I actually got the feedback. Sorry, I was having some issues with the feed on my computer.
And we'll switch over to Bailey for that.
I don't know if you were on earlier. One of the big reasons that they're doing this is because we simulate all this, and simulators are never exactly like a reality. And so every one of these launches, every time we launch a rocket in particular, we have more information, and so we feed that into our simulations to make our simulations better. And so what they're doing right now is they're testing it, because before you put people on there, you want to make sure that this thing is as safe as you can possibly get it. And so the primary objective here is to test out these systems and make sure that they're going to work exactly how we expect them to. And put any information we get from this, we're going to be folding it back into our simulations and say, okay, let's make it that much better.
Yeah, and Jennifer was talking a little bit about NASA building, so I wanted to take a moment to show everybody exactly what she was talking about. For those of you who aren't familiar with the area or who have ever been interested in visiting, I'll show you a great view of the two buildings in which NASA folks reside. So this is actually on our website, which you can get to at www.nasa.gov/centers/IVV. You can also get to us by visiting NASA's homepage and going up to the About tab, going to find a center or facility, and then looking up our location, which we are located in Fairmont, West Virginia. We are in the northern part of West Virginia. Beautiful state. If you haven't been here, highly encourage a visit. But here is here's the view of our buildings. So this is the what's commonly referred to as Building 1, and over here is what we refer to as Building 2. Building 1 is mainly houses a lot of the administrative type positions, communications, finance, that kind of thing. And then over here in the Building 2 section is where all of our analysts and engineers sit. So we are somewhere in this area. It's a really, really great park that we're located in. Again, if you've never been to the area, definitely encourage you to check it out. The buildings here are amazing. I mean, who doesn't love a building that you can drive underneath? That's the real question. So. Just I'd like to take a moment for those of you who are just in general kind of unfamiliar with our program. We actually are under NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. So we commonly refer to them as our mothership. So if any of you from Goddard are watching, hey, from IV&V, I can let Jennifer talk a little bit more to just what IV&V does, and maybe a little bit about how we got started here.
So we had a little bit of a descriptor earlier from Rich about what IV&V does. We answered 3 questions about software, and then you've also heard Bailey talk about our outreach activities with the students and teachers in our area. But essentially, our mission is to provide safety and mission assurance on software for critical systems of any mission that NASA is producing. So there's certain criteria that help determine NASA mission selection for IV&V, and there's an IV&V board of advisors that also helps determine which missions receive IV&V. And basically, anything that NASA does is ultimately able to get IV&V if they so choose. So even if they're not selected by the IV&V board of directors or their mission criteria doesn't require that they get IV&V, they can seek out our services independently if they want. And then here in Fairmont and throughout the state of West Virginia, we share NASA with everybody. The public, students, teachers, we try and coordinate events throughout the year that helps everybody engage with what NASA is doing for humankind and help benefit the Earth and technology advancement and how NASA affects you every day. One of the things that we say often is NASA's with you when you fly. So anytime you take an airplane, there's a lot of technology and innovation that NASA has provided that improves flight. And then there's all kinds of other day-to-day activities that NASA has influenced. So we're getting a little bit of an update right now, and I'm going to pause before I answer one of the questions. Well, before I have somebody answer the question I got online.
And center of the floor boosters, the locks or liquid oxygen fill and drain valves did not show closed when they were commanded to close. And since then, the team has been troubleshooting by commanding the 6 valves, 2 for or 1 each for liquid oxygen and 1 each for hydrogen, on all 3 of the boosters, in order to ensure that when they're commanded open, they show open, and when they're commanded closed, they show closed.
So the announcer's talking about how we're still standing by for the cycling of the valves and the tests that were causing our current delay. So the question we have online are, why are they testing Orion, and what will they do the day? We've already answered that question. Let me look at the next question. If this test is successful, what's the next step? Are we ready to put astronauts on it and send them into space? Ed, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Okay, well, this test is very, very important, but it is not the last test before we put humans on it. The next test is going to be called EM-1. Let's say I can't remember the acronym. Exploration Mission 1, thank you. And now that one is going to go up and actually circle around the moon, come in faster even than what we're doing today. That's the last step before we start putting humans on it. But that's going to be testing some other conditions just to be sure that we've got everything correct. And once again, you want to make sure that you have something correctly implemented before you put humans on it. You don't want to put anybody in danger.
Thank you, Ed. So as you may have noticed when Ed started answering, he couldn't remember what EM stood for. And here at NASA, one of the things we're famous for are the sheer number of acronyms we use, and we can't keep our own acronyms straight sometimes. So anytime you have an acronym that we spew out, feel free to shoot a question on the Q&A window, and we will do our best to give you the correct definition of the acronym we're using at that time. Because sometimes we use acronyms for one mission, and we might use the same acronym for another mission, and they mean two completely different things. So, and when you work on a bunch of different missions, you get a bunch of different acronyms. And sometimes you get, acronym soup in your head, and you can't figure them out. So if there are any other questions online, we'd be happy to take those, and if not, we'll just sit here and listen to the update coming from the mission right now.
Thank you, Jennifer. I wanted to jump in and let you guys know, for those who are on Twitter right now, I don't know if you follow at NASA_Langley, but they actually just tweeted a really great link. I'll go ahead and share that view with you. It's a really interesting sheet with some NASA facts about Orion and Langley's contribution to Orion. So if you want to hop on Twitter and start following at NASA_Langley, you can have access to this slick sheet that has tons of information and great pictures as well. Did you hear?
They said that the cycle worked, and so while they're waiting to hear more status, I'm sure it's all clear.
Okay, so that cycle's fine, but they're going to go do a vehicle checkout, and then hopefully the winds have died down at this point. Yeah. They were expected to die down for a while. Yeah.
So they, the guys in the room are telling me that the cycle did check out, that they're actually going to check other things right now, so hopefully we're moving in the right direction. But again, if you get on Twitter, any of the NASA centers right now are tweeting great information from at NASA Goddard, who is currently sharing a cute little coloring book photo you can actually print off and decorate your own Orion, to Johnson Space Center sharing some pictures of some future astronauts. So just general conversation from users and those that are actually viewing the launch right now, sharing their thoughts and information about what they're seeing and what they expect. I'm going to take a quick pause and see if we can get some more information for you. So I'm going to come back here for a second and again encourage everybody who is currently waiting to hop on the Twitter page. Right now NASA just shared a really great little bit of content about the next steps on our journey to Mars, which is a hashtag Journey to Mars. So I can go ahead and pull some of that up for you guys to see. So this is the information, and this is housed directly on their website. Highly encourage anybody who's interested to get on and look at this. Again, it just has tons and tons of information about Orion's early missions in the 2020s, how it's planning on sending astronauts to explore an asteroid. The asteroid redirect mission will test new technologies like the solar electric propulsion. And then just, in general, talking about Orion's flight test and how it's designed to test the riskiest elements of leaving Earth before we actually put people on board. It's going to provide, as I said before, it's going to provide a ton of experience, information for, what's to come, which is pretty cool stuff. And it doesn't look like we have any questions currently, so for those of you maybe just joining or maybe just getting back from a break, we highly encourage questions, even if they're general questions about the work NASA does or how to become an astronaut, any of that kind of information, we would be happy to answer. And for those of you who are watching the launch coverage and you're hearing silence, we're hearing that as well. There's not a lot of chit-chat going on. There looks like they're probably going in and just double-checking everything, making sure things are...
Standing by for a resolution to
here's
a
an update.
problem that occurred during the last launch attempt earlier this morning when on the Delta IV heavy launch vehicle, as we were counting down about 3 minutes away from the planned launch time, the left-hand core, or center common booster core, liquid oxygen fill and drain valves did not close properly, and this has resulted in troubleshooting of all the different fill and drain valves on the rocket's first stage. In other words, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen valves on the left, center, and right boosters. And that resulted in success with all 3 liquid oxygen valves. Total success for the right booster on hydrogen, and discussions are still underway on the status of the left and center liquid hydrogen fill and drain valves, and what kind of troubleshooting could be accomplished to ensure that they are closing and opening properly. We'll be standing by to hear a plan. We have a little bit under 44 minutes to go in our launch window today, which closes at 9:44 a.m. Eastern Time.
So I have pulled up just an EFT-1 overview. It's a graphic I'll pull up on the screen here. I was wondering if anybody would be interested in maybe talking a little bit to this graphic. It's pretty interesting, and might give some of you who heard some of the conversations earlier from Rich Wolf and Ed Meek about how this was all going to go down. And so now here's a visual representation to make it a little bit easier.
Okay. Well, this graphic shows the various parts of the vehicle that's launching today, and also shows you the flight trajectory. On the left, you have the Delta IV heavy rocket that has the 2 boosters, and then the main center core stage. Those are the ones that they're having the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen drain and fill valve issues that they are working currently. Those will, the two boosters on the side will burn for approximately 4 minutes, and and then they will separate from the core. The core will continue to burn for a total of 6 minutes, so 2 minutes after the boosters separate, and then it will fall away, and then the upper stage will give you your circularization burn, and then also your second stage burn, or your second burn, which will kick you up into the high apogee trajectory. You can see the ground track over it. You're launching due east from Kennedy Space Center, going around one time. It shows where the approximate location of where the vehicle will be when the upper stage separates. After the upper stage separates, on top of the Orion crew module today, there's the launch abort system. That's an inert launch abort system that will not actually there will not actually be an abort, but they will be testing the separation system, the separation countdown and mechanism to make sure that everything's working fine. It is standard on that on those flights that they will have the launch abort system active in flights with astronauts on them, and once you get beyond the point where the launch abort system is required, once you get through the max Q region, then you will separate and drop that off, so you're not taking that up to orbit with you. We're getting update. Okay, I'll keep going. After you do one orbit, you can see when you get back over the Atlantic Ocean after one orbit, the upper stage will have a second burn. That's the one that's going to kick you into this high apogee orbit that is going to send you up 3,600 statute miles. And with a landing in the Pacific, approximately 600 miles off the coast of Baja California, where there is a Navy recovery vehicle that will. The recovery is a little different for Orion. This one, the Orion capsule, is a lot larger than the Apollo capsules. So the recovery of this one, instead of a helicopter picking up and plucking it out of the water, the recovery for this is going to be a ship that will basically come in and almost envelop the Orion capsule as it sits in the water, and it will pull it inside the ship into a bay along with all the water surrounding it, and then it will drain the water, leaving the intact vehicle for recovery. That will occur. The mission itself today will be about 4 hours and 20 minutes, and the recovery vehicle will pick up the Orion vehicle approximately 2 hours after splashdown, if we have one today. So that gives you a little bit. It shows you on a map of the world how far you're going into space. This is further by order of magnitude than the shuttle goes, or the International Space Station, which go no higher than about 330 nautical miles. So we're going significantly deeper into space than we have. This is the deepest any human-rated vehicle, even though there's no astronauts on board. This is the deepest any human-rated vehicle has gone into space since the return from the moon in 1972 by Apollo 17.
Hold that pressure for 2 minutes with the intent to perhaps remove some slack in the philanthropy.
That was the easy one.
Go ahead, easy one.
Okay, team's been briefed. We want this on 10-12.
Roger.
And after doing so, they will vent down and attempt to cycle the valves again. And hopefully that will do the trick, and we will be able to go for a launch attempt today.
Okay, so they're still working on the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen vent valves. They tried to recycle them. They're still having issues with, I believe, the center and the left booster. So they are going to try one more troubleshooting attempt and see if they can get those, resolve those issues and verify those issues are resolved. And we will hear shortly whether they've succeeded and whether we're going to launch today. We still have about 37 minutes left in the launch window today. If we don't launch today, we will have an attempt tomorrow.
Should say, even though even if we don't launch it. This is a practice for everybody.
Right.
So.
Good point. Good point. Even if we don't launch today, this is a good practice for the EFT-1 team as well, because every time we do this, even if we go and have a wet run like this, we still learn about the vehicle. We learn about its systems. We learn about how it reacts in the real launch environment, even if we're not getting the actual flight environment. So that gives us information about the subsystems, the robustness of the subsystems, the avionics, the software that's controlling them, and it gives us some insight into how the system responds in the real world as opposed to just in a simulated environment. So even if we don't launch today, we're still gaining information that will help us not only launch tomorrow, but will also give us some insight into the systems down the road.
Okay, thanks, Rich. We're going to switch over here for a second to a different image. So I believe that what am I seeing here, Jennifer? Is that the live?
The live feed? Is that what's on right now?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so we actually have a couple more questions. And I'm going to go ahead and try and get somebody to answer this first one here. So there's a question about whether or not there's actually oxygen leaking out of the tanks, and if it keeps leaking out, will they run out of liquid oxygen or hydrogen?
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. I'll you answer that.
Okay. Yes. The question was: is there actually oxygen leaking out of the tanks, and if it leaking out, are they going to run out of oxygen? Technically, the tanks are open because they don't want to overpressurize it. As the gas is heating up, it's expanding, and they want it to vent out. But at the same time, you've got gas being pumped in the liquid form, so you won't run out of oxygen because you'll be able to keep filling it in from the bottom.
Thanks, Ed. And then we have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
We go to this one up here. How many parachutes are used to slow it run down, and how many are required for successful landing? Can one fail, and is it still safe to land? One fails.
That's good.
Yes.
Okay. I'll let Rich take this one.
Sure.
There are three primary chutes. As we come in, there's two drogue chutes that will come in and get deployed first to slow the vehicle from about 300 miles an hour, and then after you, I believe it's about 125 miles an hour. When the vehicle reaches that speed, then you get the three main chutes to deploy. So there's three primary parachutes that will slow the vehicle down from 125 miles an hour to approximately 20 miles an hour splashdown. They can land with two chutes. They have done a test where they have intentionally failed to shoot, and they have verified that in fact it can land on two chutes. You always want to be as safe as possible, but you can land on two. So yes, I guess the short answer to your question is two drogue chutes, three primary chutes. You can land with a failure of one.
Executives the ICAO will allow us to, weather permitting, see Orion descend under parachutes and splash down in the Pacific later today.
We're getting some visual of the landing zone as well. They have a Navy ship as well as a helicopters out in the area. They have planes with cameras so that we can get, hopefully if we do launch today, that we will be able to get some video of the splashdown that will occur 4.5 hours after liftoff. So we're just getting some visuals of that. It's just turning daylight out there on the west coast of California, so it's actually 600 miles off the coast of California. So they're getting those visuals. They're coming in right now. Hopefully we will be seeing a landing sometime today if we can get a launch on. We still have approximately 30 minutes left in the launch window. 35 minutes left in launch window. When they start to count down, they'll start at T-minus 4 minutes. So since the window closes at 9:44 today, we'll have to open up before 9:40 so we can actually launch today and get the launch off prior to the 9:44 a.m. Eastern launch window closure. So that's where we stand on that.
So for those of you that have been watching, asking your questions, one of the things that we haven't done is appropriately go through and indicate which question we were answering when and why. So I'm going to go through these questions real quick and clear them off my screen. So as we get new questions, we will have them appear in a decent sequence. So while I do that, I'm going to try and switch us over. Maybe Bailey, you can help me switch us over to the video of the live feed. I'm sharing it on my screen. There we go. Thank you. Do you see what I'm doing here? So the questions come up here. You need to hit send. I don't mind answering them. So that because it drops an anchor in the video, people can put questions and see the answers. And then it'll go right to that point in the video. And then we just open up the subject. And then any new questions that we get will show up here. Any new questions will show up here, and then we'll answer it live. And then we'll ask these answers and it up, and then we're done with that. So you figure hopefully they can resolve.
Should I restart from the 4-minute point?
Probably. Unless I have to I mean, I don't know what checks go on between the T-minus 9 and T-minus 4 minute mark to know if we have to go back and yeah. But, probably just start.
And we are a little bit under 30 minutes
From here.
and counting in the launch window for today's attempt to launch Orion. We will have to pick up the count in about 25 and a half minutes in order to reach the end of the night at 9:34 a.m. Eastern Time. We're still work on the anomaly resolution, trying to determine whether or not the team is able to successfully cycle the liquid hydrogen fill-in drain valves on 2 of the common booster cores that have not been cooperative yet at this point.
It's easier when you've got the events going on. You can hear what they're talking about in the background.
Yeah, you can hear the chatter. There's, you know, you can hear the nursing. You always get like background chatter. And yeah, I think trying to get used to shuttle. I mean, they had so many launches.
Yeah.
That you would hear the chatter. You would know what was going on, but here you don't hear the chatter. And of course, they use different terminology. I don't know their operation.
Bailey, what do you have at 2 o'clock today? I'm getting a conflict on your calendar, but I'm going to try and put an appointment on for 2 o'clock today.
Did you invite me to something at 2 o'clock today?
I don't have a conflict on his calendar. I have a conflict on yours.
But you can't see my calendar.
Not on this interface.
Check my calendar, Justin. Sorry.
Are you remote desktop in? I'm not.
I have you all day busy at GSFC, MSR, 7-8 schedule.
Oh, you don't go to the MSRs, do you?
No, if you're seeing a conflict on their schedule, that's what it is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Justin, you free at 2 o'clock?
Do you need me or something?
Yeah, I want to do a debrief on this.
Okay.
Maybe I'll remote desktop in and be faster. The web calendar interface, not nearly as fast.
You reschedule?
I've actually got it. Thanks, though. Is my mic? So I'm going to go ahead and answer Christine's question there, Bailey, that she's got. So Christine, thank you for your question. What happens during a debrief? Well, for us, what it means is we go into a room with members of the team and people who maybe participated in a particular event, and we talk about what happened during the event, what went well, what didn't go well, what we can do to improve things next time, what we can anticipate next time, any lessons learned, anything we might need to document, anything, pretty much just anything that is important to make sure the next time we do something similar, we have learned from our mistakes and we've implemented any correction. So what I was talking about when I mentioned debrief was that I want to talk about this Google Plus Hangout at our debrief. This is the first time we've done one of these, and we've learned a lot of lessons doing this. And next time we do them, because we certainly hope to do more in the future. Maybe they will run a little more smoothly based on the things that we discuss. So if anybody else has any other questions, we're happy to field them. But again, we're still just sitting here watching the video with you, trying to figure out when they're going to resume the countdown, hopefully pretty soon, because they've only got about 20-some minutes left in their launch window. So thank you for your question, Christine.
The alarm for the ELPS monitoring. We will go to a manual monitor, be performed by me. We have new constraints, which are 19.5 knots from 0 to 32 degrees azimuth, 21.5 knots between 33 and 42 degrees azimuth, and 23.5 knots between 43 and 52 degrees azimuth. And I prepared to manually monitor that between you guys 4 and 30 seconds. I'll hold it for Roger, and one question that AC would be, would I just go ahead and halt the script control for the black set, or are we going to actually take the parameter have disabled in the alarm? We will disable the parameter. Roger that. LC, how do you think it occurs? LD? LD occurs.
So
different constraints for what we hope to be another attempt here this morning.
So while we wait for them to finish figuring out the valves and whether or not they're going to try and launch, we have another question online. How does the size of this rocket compare to the ones that carry the space shuttle?
Ooh. This is about.
LCLD.
You can talk. My mic's on.
Okay. This particular vehicle weighs approximately 500,000 pounds. The shuttle weighed about 10 times more than this when you included both solid rocket boosters and the liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen tanks. So the shuttle stack is about 8 to 10 times bigger than this fully fueled.
Thank you.
Size-wise, it's very similar in size. Yeah.
And as you hear, we are going to try one last attempt today. With a T0
Okay, wait on that.
set for
74 okay, it's 3 times bigger than.
T0 1444 has been coordinated through by the
600 pounds or 600 pounds. Which makes it better. Where's thrust? 600 pounds, which means the lift off there is less than that. And it's a different configuration.
15 and a half minutes what we had left to top on in the window until launch, our launch attempt.
Have all that fairing.
Yeah.
We're in the 4-minute hold.
That's why SLC have the wind ram ready to stable this time.
As the ASW and lamps
So we saw a little bit of what we're seeing here in our room. So I'll share with the one crew room. Our looks like. Here they are. And here's what we look like. So this is a hangout, and this is launching something. Very cool room. Wish we could all be there. I'm sure it's really exciting.
14 and a half minutes to launch.
Pushing the end now.
So I'm gonna take it back over to the launch video or feed.
So we're at 14 and a half minutes before launch, so they've decided to move forward, and I guess that's right at the end of the launch window. So if they don't launch, they won't launch today. So they'll be back tomorrow.
L minus 14 minutes.
So I had a question here in the room, and my colleague Justin's going to answer. I wanted to know what's the difference between L minus a certain time and T minus a certain time, which is what we hear when they announce how long it is before launch.
Right, so the difference is if you think about launch time, right, and then time to launch. So launch time and time to launch, one has holds, one doesn't. So when you think about an L minus time, that's the actual clock you're going to see. So we have, what is it, 14 minutes left in the window?
Yep.
But we're in a T minus something hold, right? So time to launch. So I think that's what will come out as a T minus 4 hold if we do in fact start the launch window back up.
So with L minus 14 and launch, that will go down to 4, and then they'll start with T minus 4. So they'll go 10 minutes and then pick up at 4?
Yep.
Okay.
If that is in fact where the hold is. So I think they did say they reset to a T minus 4 hold.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep.
Launch time is 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
This should be real. However, what should be.
Yeah, the plus Hangout's on delay. Like if you go back to your desk and watch,
instruct for today's operation, based on, working. Please set up for 24-hour recycle.
So we have a question before we get offline. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the question if somebody wants to go over to Bailey's computer to answer. The question is, how much does it cost when there is a scrub?
That's good.
I don't. Yes, I don't know what it is.
I don't either. That's yeah.
Select the question.
Yeah. The question is how much does it cost when you do a scrub like this? Really, we don't even have an honest answer. Problem is, not just the launch vehicle itself, you have everybody that's involved, but everything you have to move into the vehicle, take out of the vehicle.
You have to take all the fuel.
Yeah, all the fuel has to be taken out and then put back in tomorrow. So anyway, there's a significant cost there, but you know, you don't want to be unsafe about it.
With shuttle, ballpark is about 8 to 10% of the cost. So it's like a ballpark here, just ballpark.
Okay.
50 million.
Okay, so what we heard
that's pure ballpark.
Yeah, 50 million. Yeah,
That shuttle.
Yeah. Yep. I guess the honest answer is we don't have an answer.
Thanks, Ben. So thank you everybody for joining us. They will try and launch again tomorrow. We're not 100% sure if we're going to hang out in the morning. We'll decide later today. If we are, check back with us tomorrow morning on our Google Plus page. If we're going to hang out, you'll see us live. And thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for all your excellent questions. And we look forward to hanging out with you either tomorrow's launch or some launch in the future. Bailey, do you have any closing remarks?
This broadcast will be on our Google Plus page. If you have missed it or you kind of go back and check out some questions that you might have had that got answered, you can just head on over to our Google Plus page and you'll find the link posted, and it'll also be posted to our NASA IV YouTube page. Also, the link for that will be shared on all of our social media platforms. So, just like Jennifer said, thank you so much for coming today and watching. Thank you to the folks that were here in the room that were able to answer some of those questions. We really appreciate it, and hope everybody has a good day.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Thank you.